The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking, true stories need no embellishment.
Hey guys, if you like the show and you want to show your support, check out the Opperman Report Patreon. You can go there and become a member for $3 a month. We have all the shows that you hear Monday through Friday on AM/FM radio. We have all those shows, but we cut out the ads, so you can hear that content ad-free. There's a $5 section where we put up all the old member section shows are going up over there. And then there's a $10 section where we have brand new content. 8 hours of exclusive content per month goes up there in the $10 section. But listen, I put up a lot of free stuff too. We put up documents, court documents, photographs, announcements. So you should make the Opperman Report Patreon a stop. You should stop there once a day and check out what's going on over there. That's Opperman Report Patreon. Emailrevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat, locate his hidden assets, locate his hidden bank accounts, find his current place of employment, and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. Hey, if you have something you want to promote, like a business or a website, you got a big event coming up, consider advertising on the Opperman Report. We have excellent advertising rates for you. We're on KCAA on 3 different frequencies on AM/FM in California, WWPR in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, 1490 AM, and also WWNN, which is on the east coast of Florida, all the way from Miami up to Port Bay, with 175 miles of I-95. The advertising rates are very affordable. Once your ad goes up and we play the show on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, those ads stay up there forever. And then we play repeats. And your new ads will be inserted into those repeats that play every single night. So the saturation is incredible, and the rates are very affordable. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting at my website, emailrevealer.com, or you can just email me directly at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Now, if you like the show today, be sure and check out our Patreon. Okay, we put up, I always say we put up 8 hours of new content each month on Patreon, but we put up 8 hours of exclusive content. We actually put up 16 hours of content, ad-free content that you hear here on AM/FM radio each month, each night. Also goes in Patreon too, and I'm always putting up free content up there, free stuff. I just put up something yesterday. I forget what it was. Maybe I'll look it up during the interview. Our archives you can always find for free at Spreaker.com. You go there for free, sign up for free, and you get an email notification anytime we put up new content. There's a chat room where you can chat with other listeners, and we have all the content up there that you won't find on YouTube, which deletes most of my content. Today I'm really, really excited today. We have Katie Skipp. You can find her at cskipp.com with 2 P's, CSKIPP.com. She's a documentary film producer and director. We're going to be talking today about a film she just did called Florida Woman. It takes place not too far, like an hour away from where I'm living right now. Fascinating that there's this woman who raised an alligator from a little tiny pup till it got too big to keep in the bathtub, I guess. We're going to hear more. The movie's called Florida Woman, and you can check it out right now at the Florida Film Festival in Orlando on April 10th, which is tomorrow night, in the Florida Film Festival. But you can also catch it at the Maryland Film Festival at the end of May. Katie Skipp, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Tell the audience about yourself. Who is Katie Skipp?
Great question. So I am as you mentioned, documentary producer and filmmaker. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, which kind of brings a little bit of sense to why I did a story about a Florida woman. Born and raised in Miami, I ended up moving out to Los Angeles, California after graduating from the University of Florida in 2013. And for the past 7-8 years or so, I have been in the documentary world, working my way up, and mostly been producing films. One of the films that I most recently produced was Las Sandinistas, a feature documentary about the women that fought in the Sandinista Revolution in Nicaragua. I've also been a story producer on a Netflix documentary series called Trial by Media, as well as a recent Disney Plus documentary series about Marvel. So kind of all across the board. However, I have always loved documentaries. I've always wanted to be a director, and so Florida Woman is my directorial debut, a short documentary, and I'm very excited about that, and hope to make many more documentaries in the future as well.
Yeah,
I also, just as a, I was just going to say that as a personal note, I live on a sailboat in Los Angeles. I love sailing, and that's kind of what I do outside of the film world.
Get out of here. Okay, you live on a sailboat.
I do.
Where in California?
I'm in Los Angeles, LA.
Los Angeles, okay. And what about the dock fees and stuff like that? You live on, you're docked?
Yes. I'm docked in Marina Del Rey specifically.
Get out of here. That must be such a cool life. Yeah.
I grew up on a boat in Miami, so just figured I'd give it a try out here.
Wait, you're saying you lived on a boat too in Miami, or you had a boat?
Yes.
You lived
I lived on a boat for 5 years growing up.
I'd say, what a fascinating life. And in the Small World department, too, you talked about Las Sandinistas. I saw that film at the Las Vegas Film Festival. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It is a chilling movie, just so inspiring. Who is the director of that again? Because I had her on the show.
The director is Jenny Murray.
Jenny Murray. What is she working on lately?
She has a couple films she's working on. She's also diving into some of the scripted world, writing some films, and I think she's got a lot up her sleeve, and that I'm sure we'll be seeing very soon.
I can't encourage people enough to go to the archives and Spreaker.com and find the show I did with Jenny Murray, Las Sandinistas, about the women who fought, or the women who were leadership in the Nicaraguan Revolution. That's so untold in the North here.
That's correct. Yeah, and the story is honestly just disappearing, and that was a lot of the reason why Jenny took it upon herself to reach out to these women and tell their stories, so that it didn't completely disappear from the histories.
Yeah, beautiful movie. Tell us about Florida Woman.
So Florida Woman is a documentary portrait of a woman named Mary Thorne. She is an ex-pro wrestler in Florida who she went viral pretty much when the state of Florida was threatening to take away her ATV riding, clothes wearing pet alligator named Rambo. And I came to the story when pretty much living out here in California, the concept of Florida man is pretty prevalent. It's, being written about, it's being shared everywhere, but often it becomes kind of this sensationalist thread that is just kind of ridiculed for the sake and at the sake of the people behind the stories. And so I really wanted to understand who these people were and why it is that it's such a sensation. And so I kind of dug into the concepts of Florida man and Florida women as well. And I came across Mary's story, which I felt was just the quintessential story that was really, taken out of context and didn't really give her that chance to explain who she really was. So I wanted to give her that moment in this film.
Yeah, I know. It's such a stereotype, Florida man, and then you hear Florida woman. But I got to tell you, coming from New York first, then Vegas, down to Florida, it is another world down here. It's another world.
It's true.
It really is. I'm right by Tampa, which is the main headquarters of the Florida man stories. But tell us, man, you said Mary Thorne was a professional wrestler. Tell us about her life.
So, yes, she's a professional wrestler. She's from Lakeland, Florida, born and raised. And, she's grown up around animals her whole life. She's had, hardships. She's gone through a lot. But at the end of it, she's a very empathetic character, an amazing woman that just truly cares. She's taken care of many, many animals. And often the animals that she takes care of are actually rescues. And what I mean by that is specifically the alligator that was being taken away or threatened to be taken away was Rambo. And Rambo was left in a dark, smelly container without any sunlight, along with his 4 siblings, for its kind of, first few years of life. And when the original owner, and sorry, this was not Mary, this was its original owner, was trying to get rid of these alligators, she took it upon herself to bring them in, even though many of them had many disabilities given their circumstances for those first few years. So that kind of already, I think, tells you a lot about her. And she did everything she could to keep these alligators alive, even though they were allergic to sunlight because they had never seen sunlight. And unfortunately, Rambo's other 4 siblings all passed away through one illness or another. And so Rambo is kind of all she has left. All of her kids have moved out, and really, it's she treats him like her son, and you'll see that in the film.
Yeah, she describes how all these little alligators were like piled on top of each other in this tiny little tank. Can you imagine how cruel that is? My God, but she was able to rescue this one Rambo. Now, how old did because how big did Rambo get?
He is he got to about 5 to 6 feet at the time in which they were threatening to take him away, it's pretty big. But he actually cannot go back into the wild without, he would be killed because he's never been in the wild. So it's a bit of a predicament.
Yeah, I hear you. And how old was he?
He was 13 at that time.
13 years old. Oh, boy. Now, how big is this property that she can have? She had more than one rescue animal on this property?
She had dogs and a pig and some chickens and a squirrel specifically at the time that I filmed this. So quite a few, but he was the only alligator on her property. She had a whole kind of 2 separate rooms dedicated to him that kept him away from the sun. She had a tank that was in the process of being remodeled to be even bigger to kind of accommodate his growth. And then I don't know the specific size of her lot, but that was part of the issues that were raised by the state of Florida as far as how big the lot was and how big it needed to be in order to have the license that she had for Rambo.
Gotcha. Okay. And you saying that she had built a swimming tank inside the house for the alligator?
That's correct. Yes, it had its own full bedroom.
Okay. How many bedrooms are in this house?
I think that there may only be 2. I think there's one for her, and maybe there's, some converted rooms. Her house, she loved to say, was a recycled home. She kind of built it from scratch, and everything was, pieces of wood she found and built up. And honestly, I could not write a story like this. They say that truth is stranger than fiction. And walking into her house was a pretty incredible Florida experience, I would say.
Yeah, you really don't give that. I kind of assumed, It was one of the questions I was going to ask you, like, what was this house like? Because you never really, come right out and say, hey, man, just, But I kind of figured. Now, there was a gentleman, too, that was sitting down, never really came outside. Is that her husband? Relation? What's the story with him?
No, so his name was James Green. He was just kind of one of her best friends, actually, who she worked with for much of Rambo's life. They met, I guess there's this Florida experience in which you can go visit alligators and feed them little hot dogs. It's just a tourist attraction that people love. And he was the one selling the hot dogs, apparently, and that's how they met. And then kind of he helped her take care of Rambo for a lot of that life. And so she felt that he would be a really good person to speak with to really kind of understand that perspective, because he's not, an alligator lover himself, but he respects them, and I hope that comes through in the film as well.
Now, this house, is it in the middle of a regular neighborhood?
Yes, I would say so. It's a little bit on the outskirts of town, but there's neighbors, yes.
And how close are the neighbors?
They're not too far away. They're not piled up on top of each other, but a normal house lot, I would say.
Let me ask you a question. If I drove by there, do you think she'd let me visit? Visit the... Just get
I can't quite speak to that.
Okay.
She is a very welcoming woman, and if you'd like to reach out to her, I'm sure I could put you in touch.
She seems like a very very nice woman for sure. Very good-hearted woman too, as well. Cares for animals. You can't criticize her for that at all. Really,
she really is. But things got, when the media first kind of got wind of her story, things got really out of control, and her phone number was kind of plastered everywhere,
really?
And her address, and it became a point where she was really villainized by the media and by people just kind of criticizing or humiliating her for her story. And I think she's, gone through a lot, and she's sensitive to that. But, I hope, again, that this shows kind of the other side of that story.
Yeah, 'cause she does seem like a delightful woman. Now, you said she was a professional wrestler in her early life. Professional?
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like a large woman.
No, but she was very strong. She was a professional wrestler. She was considered the bad guy wrestler, where, they're kind of known for being kind of creating mockery and ridicule, and it's a world that I'm not that familiar with, to be honest. But what I do know is that she, after professionally wrestling herself, she ended up going on to create this kind of academy for children to teach them how to wrestle. And I think that was a big part of her children's lives. Who also, one of her sons, who was handicapped and disabled, also actually she taught him, and he was a wrestler. So she kind of believes in empowering everyone, just regardless of their abilities as well. And she kind of, brought in kids around the neighborhood that maybe didn't have a stable family life, whatever it may be, and really helped raise them. And so she kind of just kept telling me all of these stories that really went on to prove how much of a, empathetic character and woman she really is.
Yeah, and I in the film, too, you show how some of these shock jocks and these people on the radio and TV stuff were kind of like humiliating her and being very cruel to her and online posting people, It's fascinating how, as a villain in wrestling, she kind of welcomed that, come on, but in real life, it's not as much fun, I guess, Now, what happened to cause the city or the authorities to come down on her?
Well, she was, at that point, grandfathered into some of the previous regulations that they had. A lot of this, I believe, centered on the fact that she was pretty out in public with her alligators, with Rambo. She did a lot of educational seminars. She, took them around town, various exhibits, and really put them on display. And I think that caused a lot of attention around her. But actually, what's interesting enough is that the Florida Fish and Wildlife, the conservation group that also is in charge of these licenses and permits, would use Rambo pretty often in their educational settings to teach, schools and children about alligators and alligator safety. And she was really a proponent of all of this. And so, ironically, the same group that would use Rambo for educational purposes is the same group that was pretty much threatening to take him away. It came down to there was a new, person in charge that didn't believe her lot size was fitting for the size that the alligator was growing, and so that's really kind of the gist of the issue at hand. And that kind of went back and forth, and really I tried to shy away from a lot of these details in the film, mostly because I think it's a very complicated matter, particularly rescuing an animal when there's nowhere else for it to really go. And I tried to focus a lot on her story.
But now you say she was able to take this animal out on exhibits.
Correct.
Right. So how is she, if the animal can't go out in the sunlight, how is she able to accomplish that?
So, many of these exhibits actually were indoors. There's all of these alligator and wildlife kind of, I don't know if you might consider them conferences around the state of Florida. So a lot of them are indoors. It's also, which she goes into detail in the film, is why she ended up using a lot of clothing to cover up their skin, and sunscreen as well.
Right.
So there's a whole operation.
Okay. Now, and the animal was able to, would kids come up and pet the animal?
They would, yes.
Really? Now, you can domesticate an alligator?
That she proved that it's possible. Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. Now,
they were, she trained them. They had commands. I met Rambo myself, and he was a very docile alligator.
So you touched him and everything?
I did. Yep.
Now, he hasn't had his teeth removed, or he hasn't been defanged, or anything like that?
No.
Okay, just incredible. I don't know if I would chance that. I don't know. I'm from the Bronx. I didn't grow up on a boat like you did. Okay, I grew up in a project.
I think there's something about growing up in Florida and these creatures around. I mean, yeah. I think the biggest point that she tried to share was you don't mess with alligators. You don't. I knew people that would try to feed them, and that's what kind of creates this environment where they are comfortable coming up to humans and ends up in a lot of dangerous situations, which we see in the news.
Yeah.
So really, she was using Rambo as kind of a tool where kids, this could be the one safe experience that they would have so that they could learn that that's not okay in the wild.
Gotcha. Now, so when the city, I guess was the Fish and Game, you said it was, when the Fish and Game, they told her you had to did they give her an option where to take the alligator to?
They did not at that time, no. There's various kind of alligator sanctuaries and things of that nature, but again, he would, whether it's the son, he would die, or whether it's other alligators who are much stronger and have lived in the wild. So there weren't really options for him.
He's an indoor alligator, yeah. He's not an outdoor alligator, yeah. Mm-hmm. And now, so then, I guess when she was confronted with this, they want to take the alligator away. She probably is the one who went to the news media, right?
So she originally, she was trying to find a home for it, another home that was maybe more fitting and applicable. And that is when someone found out and told the media. And so the journalist that I interviewed in the film, Clifford Parody from the Ledger, he actually found out about it through this posting. And that's how the first article came about, and then it spiraled from there.
Yeah, it just went viral all over the world pretty much, right?
It did, yeah. Yeah, People Magazine picked it up, all of these television shows in L.A., New York, and people were reaching out to her from across the world.
Now, have you stayed in touch with her since completing the film?
I have, yeah. She's, seen the film. She loves it. She thinks it's a great representation of her and her story. She let me know, unfortunately, James Green, the other man interviewed in the film, passed away recently. So she let me know that, which I was, very disappointed to hear. But hopefully, this kind of gives him a sense of legacy.
Yeah, that is a shame. Yeah, but it's a good thing, like you said, to get him on film before he passed. Yeah. Now, what ultimately happened to Rambo?
So ultimately, I don't want to spoil the end of the film. However, she was able to work with Florida Fish and Wildlife to have an updated permit. This took a couple years for them to really sort out, but the stipulations are that she's no longer able to exhibit Rambo. So he can live with her. She has to, provide the accommodations that are as safe as possible for him, and they, check annually. But she's no longer able to, do any kind of educational exhibits with him, which, I think I'm not the one to have an opinion on that one way or another. I think that she, from her perspective, is disappointed and believes that Rambo is lonely without being able to do those.
Oh, I never even considered that too. Yeah, because it is just the two of them, right? They're their best friends, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, but it's fascinating. Yeah, I tell you how people wind up. It's just what a world we live in. People have different lives. Just incredible. So she's happy, and so it kind of has a happy ending. Because I tell you, I thought I got a little confused at the end when it said that someone had passed away. I thought the alligator had passed away, but it was Mr. Green who had passed away.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Rambo is still alive and kicking. Actually, when I found out that I was accepted into the Florida Film Festival, I was, my first thing I wanted to do was go and tell Mary, because I was hoping that she would be able to attend, as it's not too far away. Unfortunately, she has an alligator to take care of, and so she will not be able to make it. But that just shows you, her commitment to Rambo.
Okay, now that's a shame. She can't get an alligator sitter to sit with the alligator.
I don't know if those exist.
Because I tell you something, I would drive her over to the film festival for you. I would pick her up and take her over there, man. And I think the woman deserves it. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, okay.
Yeah. And one thing I did want to mention to you is, I think part of what I was kind of looking into when I originally was looking into kind of the concepts of Florida Man and this story is how, and I think everyone knows, there's alligators in Florida. There's crazy stuff happens, not sure why, but at the end of the day, a lot of the reasons why these stories really pick up steam and become, part of the news cycle is because of these freedom of information laws in Florida called the Sunshine Laws. And really what that does is it allows journalists access to any information that they would like. It creates this kind of sense of accountability on behalf of police and government entities, that they can get any information, any names, whatever it may be, emails. And so really everything is wide open, and oftentimes that is why these stories are able to be shared, is because the journalists have access to this information. And so while it may happen everywhere, Florida just has a little more access to it.
Yeah, the Sunshine State laws, the Sunshine laws, you can get I'm a private investigator. You can get anything down here. Even we had copies of the Jeffrey Epstein search warrant execution. Wow. Oh, yeah, you get anything down there. Police reports, body cam, you get everything. It's a dream for a PI, you know. but like
Sure.
you said, yeah, if you got a private matter going on there, you don't want people dipping into your business too much. But then again, too, like you lived in Miami. You know, I'm down here just south of Tampa. Where Tampa's the headquarters of Florida, man. The main, and there's a lot of Confederate flags. You know, there's a lot of. Yeah. It's a different place, man. I got to tell you, Florida is very different than the rest of the country that I've been to.
It sure is. It sure is. And as Clifford, the evangelist in the film, says, it's crazy, but the world needs Florida. He believes it's kind of this metric that you can guide yourself based upon.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, too.
Compass.
Now, you said right now it's playing at the Florida Film Festival, April 10th, over there in Orlando, Florida, and they can catch it on Saturday. But is there any way the general public right now could view this?
Not at the moment. I'm, after it kind of goes along the festival circuit over the next few months, I'm really looking forward to taking that next step with the film to be able to share it with a wider audience, and just trying to figure out what that best mode and method of distribution will be. But at this moment, it's open for the taking if anybody's interested.
Gotcha. Okay, check it out. Florida Film Festival, also at the Maryland Film Festival at the end of May. Our guest today is Katie Skipp, S-K-I-P-P. Her website is cskipp.com. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
Hey guys, if you like the show and you want to show your support, check out the Opperman Report Patreon. You can go there and become a member for $3 a month. We have all the shows that you hear Monday through Friday on AM/FM radio. We have all those shows, but we cut out the ads, so you can hear that content ad-free. There's a $5 section where we put up all the old member section shows are going up over there. And then there's a $10 section where we have brand new content. 8 hours of exclusive content per month goes up there in the $10 section. But listen, I put up a lot of free stuff too. We put up documents, court documents, photographs, announcements. So you should make the Opperman Report Patreon a stop. You should stop there once a day and check out what's going on over there. That's Opperman Report Patreon. EmailRevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat. Locate his hidden assets. Locate his hidden bank accounts. Find his current place of employment and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com, digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages, create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com, 800-572-9762. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. Hey, if you have something you want to promote, like a business or a website, you got a big event coming up, consider advertising on the Opperman Report. We have excellent advertising rates for you. We're on KCAA on 3 different frequencies on AM/FM in California, KSHP 1400 AM in Nevada, WWPR in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, 1490 AM, and also WWNN, which is on the east coast of Florida, all the way from Miami up to Port Bay, with 175 miles of I-95. The advertising rates are very affordable. Once your ad goes up and we play the show on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, those ads stay up there forever. And then we play repeats every single night of classic Opperman Report shows. And your new ads will be inserted into those repeats that play every single night. So the saturation is incredible, and the rates are very affordable.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Be sure and check out our Patreon at Opperman Report on Patreon. We're here today with Katie Skipp. You can find her at cskipp.com. That's letter C, SKIPP.com. That's her website. We're talking about her film Florida Woman, which is playing in Orlando right now at the Florida Film Festival on April 10th. You can catch it tomorrow night. If you missed that, you can catch it in Maryland in the end of May at the Maryland Film Festival. So, Katie, right before we off the air, you were telling me how you wanted to make sure that the audience understood that this isn't some kind of sensational Florida man type film.
Yes, that's correct. Really, I think, when someone sees the title or they kind of think about what the story is, a woman with a pet alligator, I think it really elicits one kind of opinion, understanding, or assumption. And that's, what I'm expecting. But ideally, by the end of the film, expectations will be altered and changed, and really, coming away with this sense that although these headlines are very clickable and you want to kind of share it because they just seem so otherworldly and absurd, just kind of understanding that at the other end of it, there is a human that has a real story, and without, doing that due diligence of learning who they are, it can have a profound effect, whether that's positively or negatively, but, to just really think about it beyond the headline.
Yeah, this is definitely not some kind of sensational, because there is a movie out there called Florida Man, a little documentary. Correct. I couldn't even sit through it, to tell you the truth. It was just really not interesting, You expect something good. This is a very good film. Florida Woman. It's about Mary Thorne, who raised this alligator from a little pup. Now, you were saying before you were involved with a project called Trial by Media?
That's correct, yes. Trial by Media documentary series that was aired on Netflix this past May.
And that's the one that I'm looking at it right now. Al Sharpton?
Yes, he was a part of it. I specifically was a story producer that worked on one episode of 41 Shots, which was about the story of Amadou Diallo.
Right.
I'm not sure if you're familiar. Yes. In New York in 1999, he was a young African immigrant saving up money for his education, who unfortunately was shot 41 times by 4 white police officers while he was standing on his doorstep. And it became this huge media sensation. It was heavily fueled by Al Sharpton, trying to bring to light the kind of injustices that were occurring within the case itself and the trial. And by the end, all of the officers were acquitted. And so the mother, who speaks Kadiatou Diallo throughout the film, really, has kind of been a leading figure in working to, have justice and try to create some kind of legacy for many of the victims and tell their stories of police violence.
Well, and we talked about the small world department before. In the even smaller world department, okay, I'm from New York City. I was a Lower East Side activist back in the 70s and the 80s with the Yippies. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of contact with Al Sharpton. We participated in Rock Against Racism and different marches with the Reverend Al Sharpton. So I've known him my whole life. As a matter of fact, I think I'm even on those tapes when he was working for the FBI, running around with those tapes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. Now, also, too, Amadou... It is a small world. It definitely is. That's a fact. But Amadou Diallo... am I pronouncing that correctly? Diallo. Correct. Was reaching for his wallet, pulling out his wallet, had his wallet in his hand, and shot 41 times.
Yes.
And this was at a spate of times when these shootings were just going on left and right. Michael Stewart, Eleanor Bumpers was killed, in her apartment. A 70-year-old woman, I believe. Horrible time in New York, and no one ever did any time for any of these crimes. Now, this is his mother who you spoke with?
Yes, she was a big part of the film, in addition to some other interviewees, but. She's an amazing woman. She now has a foundation, and it was a very fascinating story of kind of his background and how, he was pictured as just, no one really cared about his story. He was just written in headlines. It's again this kind of same situation in which, and that was kind of the point of this series as a whole, is how media becomes this vessel of swaying public opinion and how it can have a profound impact on the results and verdicts in many of these trials. Specifically for this one, it became such a heated debate within the city that they felt that they couldn't have a unbiased jury. And the trial ended up moving from, the home in New York to of your peers, a jury of your peers, which everyone is should have, and it was moved to Albany, which was a majority white population and probably had a different bias towards the case itself. And I think, we're seeing this a lot with the present day cases as well, where particularly when media becomes nation or global, you really can't have an unbiased population when everybody is reading. And does that matter? Is bias something that whether it should or should not live in a courtroom? And that's something that we discuss a lot in the episode.
Yeah, that's a subject that's been very near to my heart, especially with the old HLN series that used to have the court stories on every night, and when Jodi Jodi Arias, and basically, Jodi Arias, is she evil or just a criminal? That's your choice, and just it's like jury tampering. You can't broadcast this stuff when someone's awaiting trial, and just making them out to be a pariah or a monster. Now, the cops first of all. Amadou Diallo, did he receive a settlement? His family, has the state got a settlement from the NYPD?
Eventually they did. I believe it was about $2 million, which in the grand scheme of things really the family, I don't believe, really felt like it was a fair settlement. There is no money, that could pay for your son. But they did use those funds to kickstart the foundation, which she still runs today.
Gotcha. Okay, and the cops who did the shooting, these 41 shots,
correct.
Were they disciplined or taken off the force, or are they still cops today?
I think a couple of them, they really were not.
Yeah.
A couple of them stayed within the force and recently retired. I believe one of them went into the fire department, and I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the fourth at the moment, but no, there really wasn't. Was not any disciplinary measures taken at first. I believe their guns may have been taken away for a short period of time before being given back. Yeah,
yes,
it was in a time, with Giuliani in power and this concept of stop and frisk and the broken windows theory, and really just, policing in general with kind of these biases towards young, usually black men of color.
Yeah, and I think in this instance, there wasn't even a call of a disturbance or anything. Was there? They just were driving by and they saw him. Yeah. Right,
that's correct.
Yeah, so but for his contact with police, he would be alive today, and he would not be under arrest. There would be no arrestable offense for this poor young man. What did Reverend Al have to say about all this?
I think for him, what was really interesting is that going back to the kind of court of public opinion is that, so he was called and brought in and really brought in these daily protests to try and have an indictment, which didn't end up happening. But again, it backfired in that by creating such a storm of publicity, it then was moved to Albany. And so really it was a discussion of whether there should be, context of the case and of the people within a court, or whether it should be devoid of context and it should be just heard upon the facts. So that was really, I would say, the kind of crux of our conversation.
Yeah, I interview people all over the world, in England and Australia, and over there, you're not allowed to report, sometimes even the names of the person arrested. You're not allowed to report before the case has been in trial, which, I don't know, you're a documentary filmmaker. How do you juxtapose that against our right to free speech? Otherwise, a lot of these things would never go to trial if we weren't reporting on them.
Exactly, and I think that's really something we have to grapple with. I don't think the officers would have been indicted in the first place had there not been, people using their voice and really garnering attention for what occurred. And so I think that we need the media to hold people accountable, but it can be a double-edged sword at the same time.
Yeah, and so this is and how can people watch this on Netflix right now, right?
That's correct. So it's on Netflix it's that episode along with 5 others about various different cases that occurred that were highly visible within the media and public opinion.
It's called Trial by Media. You can catch it on Netflix right now. The episode we're talking about right now is episode 4, called 41 Shots. That was worked on by our guest here today, Katie Skip. A couple of the other ones, though, look interesting, too. Bernie Goetz, I had some conversations with him, too, as well. Bernie, he has a squirrel rescue now. That's what he does now?
I do, yes. You actually want to hear something very funny?
Yes.
Again, small world.
Yeah.
The lawyer that ended up coming on to Mary Thorne's case, he was a pro bono lawyer that reached out to her from New York. I found out that his only other kind of pro bono client was Bernie Goetz as far as his squirrels were concerned. He's a big animal rights activist. And he somehow represented him, I think, to be able to keep his squirrels in his apartment. So not sure if that's, the most positive attribution to this lawyer, but I thought it was a very small world.
Yeah, I think that Mary Thorne and Bernie Goetz would make a wonderful couple, man. They would meet each other, because she has squirrels too, right?
She does. Not sure about that, but...
Okay. Well, what about these other stores? Big Dan's, you know what that one is?
Yeah, that was a rape case that occurred in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Right.
And it was the first trial that was televised, actually, on CNN. And it kind of was the dawn of live courtroom drama. But really it was a small town that really villainized this woman who they just blamed her for ruining, I think she was gang raped by, I want to say 4 men were on trial, 4 Portuguese men. It was a very Portuguese influenced community. And she ended up, her name, she was not supposed to be seen physically on camera to protect her identity. However, they didn't think about the fact that her name was used. And so the moment her name was used, she was pretty much run out of town. And she had to leave the community and was just completely villainized. And so really, again, it speaks to the double-edged sword that is media. It's great to bring attention, but it can really harm, the people involved as well. So,
yeah, Jodie Foster. Yeah, Jodie Foster made that movie loosely based on this story. And then you got the Jenny Jones talk show murder. I followed that one. So this is all stuff we talk about on our show all the time. Jenny Jones talk show murder.
Yeah.
And which one is Blago? The mayor.
Blagojevich.
Yeah. Okay, that's another good one. And what's King Richard?
That's Richard Scrushy. He was the head of the. His company was in Montgomery, Alabama. Who was the CEO of Health South Corporation, and it pretty much became this big laundering case and was a story of kind of riches to rags, you might say. Gotcha.
But
he used the media and the community to kind of help guide his, the jury's perspective, you might say.
Well, I got to tell you, you're working on great stuff. I love Las Sandinistas. No, I'm serious. Florida Woman is a heartwarming, film about this wonderful woman down there with this alligator. 41 shots really needs to be talked about more. What are you working on next?
So I have another short film in development at the moment, which again is kind of a story of. I haven't actually talked about it, so this will be the first time, but. It was a young woman who was the victim of a rape at a strip club where she worked. And given the stigma associated with her line of work, the police didn't do anything about it. The people that owned the club didn't do anything about it. And she's an artist by trade. And she ended up using a full-blown billboard above the strip club to raise awareness about her case and what happened to her, and in a sense, find justice for herself. So we're telling her story through her own artwork. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Now, has that story been in the news?
It has, just a little bit, but I think it needs to be told more widely.
Gotcha. And does she have an attorney? Does she have a lawsuit against this strip club?
She does not. No, she pretty much realized that she could only really find justice for herself and through sharing her story. And she's also committed to telling the stories of so many others that are in the line of sex work that are often unable to find justice when their rights are violated.
Yeah, that's true. There's such a stigma on that kind of thing. So we've been talking to. Is there anything about 41 Shots I haven't asked you'd like the audience to know about?
No, I think it's a very timely film to watch. I think it really gives a lot of context to what it came out in May, right before a lot of the most recent police shootings occurred. So I would really recommend giving it a watch, and I think just kind of understanding all the things that our country has gone through over the last. It's been now more than 20 years, and I hope some change occurs soon.
Yeah, it would be nice. We had some kind of a solution to this. All these unarmed people just getting shot down left and right. We've done so many shows on it here, and it's almost always the women of the family who come on the show to talk about their lost son or their lost brother. They get get strength, or stand up and fight back and set up these foundations. It's over and over and over. I see this. Thank you so much, Katie Skipp. We've been talking to Katie Skipp, Skipp.com. That's the letter C, Skipp.com. That's her website. And I would really ask people to support the work here because it's all good content. You can check out Florida Woman on April 10th at the Orlando Film Festival, Florida Film Festival in Orlando. Also check it out in Maryland at the end of May. Trial by Media you can catch on Netflix right now. If you have a Netflix account, just about everybody does. You can use share those passwords. So just about everybody has one. You can go on there and work it out next. This great story about this woman bringing justice for this woman here in town. Was working in this exotic dancer and got raped in the line of duty. Katie Skipp, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, good night. A word from our sponsors. EmailRevealer.com. People ask me all the time, hey, Ed, are you still a private investigator? I sure am. Go to emailrevealer.com. We handle adoption investigations, infidelity investigations, where you give us your spouse's email address. We trace it back to online dating websites, catch them cheating online. Email tracing, locate or identify somebody from as little as an anonymous email address. Someone owe you money? Back child support? We can find that deadbeat. Locate his hidden assets. Locate his hidden bank accounts. Find his current place of employment and even assist you in obtaining a judgment and recover that judgment for you. Emailrevealer.com. Digital forensics, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, recover deleted text messages. Create a report that you can use in court. Emailrevealer.com. 800-572-9762. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. Hey, if you have something you want to promote, like a business or a website, you got a big event coming up, consider advertising on the Opperman Report. We have excellent advertising rates for you. We're on KCAA on 3 different frequencies on AM/FM in California, KSHP 1400 AM in Nevada, WWPR in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, 1490 AM, and also WWNN, which is on the east coast of Florida, all the way from Miami up to Port Bay, with 175 miles of I-95. The advertising rates are very affordable. Once your ad goes up and we play the show on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, those ads stay up there forever. And then we play repeats every single night of classic Opperman Report shows. And your new ads will be inserted into those repeats that play every single night. So the saturation is incredible and the rates are very affordable. contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com.